we're both the same age, 69. He was from Plaistow. Part of my original constituency covered Plaistow. We followed the fortunes of the same football team, West Ham United, which gave us a lot of Monday morning conversations that we otherwise might not have wanted to have. But we had common interests on animal welfare, dog welfare in particular. He was a big supporter of the Westminster Dog of the Year competition, sponsored by Dogs Trust and the Kennel Club. He campaigned against political repression in Iran, but fire safety was the other big issue that we worked very closely together. General fire safety, campaigning for fire sprinklers in schools, which was a huge issue for him. General fire safety, and after Grenfell, fire safety in high-rise blocks, justice for the victims and justice for leaseholders afterwards. David was a great parliamentary performer. When he was in the chamber, you could see that passion inside him, whether it was for his constituents, his constituency, or for the issues which he held very dear.
And now I was just wondering if you knew of any personal inspiration, because so many of the causes which he took up did actually come from the sort of thing that he was doing here yesterday, contact with his constituents, particular concerns of those, which he then turned into political causes.
Yes, and that's one of the beauties of being a member of Parliament, that you do have a platform. When people come to you, and every MP has seen this, people go to their MP, you are the last resort. They've been to Citizens Advice, they've been to local councillors, some of them have spent thousands and thousands with solicitors. They come to the MP as last resort. Many of them are desperate, many of them are angry, a number have mental health issues. You just don't know who's going to be walking through that door, whether you do an appointment system or no appointment system. There's no protection. You're in very close proximity, and I can't see how that can be avoided. And then David would use the opportunity, either in the chamber or through press releases or through correspondence or lobbying ministers or outside organisations to support the constituent who had a problem and try and get a resolution for that. Well, we're not miracle workers. We can't solve every problem, but David threw his heart and soul into that which he could do for people, and they knew that he worked tirelessly on their behalf.
I mean, you say you can't see how MPs can be protected. Does this mean that after Joe Cox and Nigel Jones and Stephen Timms, we've got to just face the possibility that this might happen again? Isn't there something we can change in the culture?
Well, there are always things which can be done. There can be proper vetting. We can do checks to make sure people are coming, our constituents. But there's no way in the world that you can stop somebody approaching you in the street, stopping you in the street, or arriving at your surgery or leaving your surgery, let alone inside the surgery. Stephen Timms put up a wonderful tribute to David this morning because they worked very closely together on Newham issues, and Stephen was a victim himself, as we all know, a decade or so ago. It's almost impossible to protect anybody from the lone person who is determined to commit damage or personal injury, unless you're walking around in some kind of protective suit, which means that nobody can reach you. That's just not possible. But we can make appropriate arrangements to make safeguards as strong as possible, but it's not quite the case, I don't think, that you can properly protect any human being against another human being if they're determined to do you damage or do you injury.
What's your sort of single abiding memory of the man that you worked alongside on many things? I
have an abiding picture of him smiling in the chamber and laughing across the chamber, especially in the end of term parliamentary debates when MPs have licence to raise everything and anything that they want to, usually on the last afternoon or last evening of Parliament when most MPs have headed for home. But there are MPs who have issues which they haven't had a chance to raise, and they want to get them mentioned in Parliament before the session closes. And David was the best exponent of that. He would arrive in the chamber with a list of between 10 and 20 different subjects, and he would rattle through them to make sure that they were on the record, which would give him the opportunity to follow them up later. And he did this with great humour. The relationships across the chamber and between colleagues And those debates is very warm because everybody wants to help each other out because we all know we want to raise serious issues that otherwise would not get heard. And I can see I'm now smiling across the chamber and then laughing and pointing a finger and calling me sometimes his honourable friend. Usually when you point across the chamber, you say the honourable member. You usually restrict honourable friend to the people on your own side. We had a very warm relationship and I will miss him greatly.